Welcome, Doctor Who fans, and the video is all about this. But first, a word from our sponsor. No, actually, I just wanted to say thank you, Andy, for this nice warm scarf I wore tonight. I've just got in from my travels, and it was very warm, this scarf. I'm talking about Andy Cole, of course. He sent this to me originally for nothing. Thank you, Andy. That's very kind. And so I really appreciate the scarf. Lovely. It goes everywhere with me. Well, most places. Thank you, Andy. Anyway, here we are, Doctor Who Chronicles 1970, in lieu with the touted release of the Doctor Who collection Blu-ray set coming out in March. I think it's March the 5th it's being released for that one. I think the Savages 25th of March, 23rd, 25th I think. I just read that today. So yeah, Doctor Who Chronicles 1970. Now we all know that year. Well, I do very well. It was the beginning of the John Pertwee season. Here we are with the man with the cloak. I think some of his costume we got from his grandfather's loft, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Now again, all the 4 stories are in here, I think, that relate to that season, which of course from memory is Spearhead from Space, Doctor Who and the Silurians, The Ambassadors of Death, and Infernal, or Inferno as you like to know. So yes, can't wait for them. Now, again, it begins with the flying start for the new season. Of course, we all saw the regeneration in the War Games in colour, which didn't actually happen in reality. It happened in the black and white version, which was he just span off into the background, didn't he, Patrick Trout? And of course, John Pertwee just fell out the box the following year. Mistaken. Look at the comedy gold Primord there. Comedy gold, aren't they? Werewolves. Alright, so Silurians, Quatermass in the pit. There's some interesting stuff about a home movie of a homemade Dalek. Interesting, huh? Again, it talks about the different dates where, the timeline of what happened in 1970 with the introduction of the new Doctor Who. Now, this is the infamous shot of John Pertwee with the Yeti. Now, of course, he was always the one who said it's not far more frightening to have a Yeti pop out of your loo in Tooting Bec, wasn't that? Was the quote he always made. But very, very apt. And of course, that highlights his entire series, which was based on Earth generally, apart from later on when they got his space-time travel back from the Time Lords. But it even didn't he appear before he got his time, his dimensional unit back. You always remember the codes to the ship. But I'm talking about is, of course, didn't he also make some travels with the Time Lords pushing him, like Colony in Space, for example, which also happened in 1972. 71, 72. So there was some element of time travel still, although it was mainly generally set on Earth with Unit. Again, we have John Pertwee with Wurzel, mentioned there too, which of course was one of his other famous characters, was Wurzel Gummidge. Zoo Nealand, love that. ATV, Sea Purposes. Again, a lot of reference to other TV shows that were occurring at the time, such as Crossroads with Benny and the like. Remember Benny? Crossroads, ooh. Yeah, Crossroads. Crossroads. Again, life in plastic. It spent Constance Carling had a small but memorable as a sinister secretary in Spearhead from Space. I didn't know that. I just know that as much as you guys sometimes. Doctor Who and the Silurians. That's also mentioned. By the way, the copy of this magazine is only $12.99. I thought it was going to be something stupid like $19.99, but no, it's $12.99. Thank goodness. I mean, the magazine's $7.99. It's bad enough, but then $12.99 is not bad. For these, I think I've got most of these already. These Chronicles. I love those books. But remember them, Doctor Who and the Doomsday Weapon. That book had a really glossy cover, didn't it? And it was a lovely cover there. I had that. I think several of those covers. A lovely cover there. Doctor Who and the Doomsday Weapon, of course, was the Colony in Space official television title. Again, we have Caroline John even meeting Nick Briggs. Yeah. Again, very nice lady she was. Cape Fear. And the costume design, Cape Fear. Didn't he do a film called The House of Drip? No, maybe it was a costume now. The Ambassadors of Death. It was quite unusual music, wasn't it? An Ambassador of Death to signature their movements about the earth and their movements around the. So it was quite a memorable story though. Again, outtakes from Inferno. You saw Doctor in red trousers there. His signature, of course, Pertwee wore these red trousers, didn't he? And also generally in rehearsals, of course, not a character. But the last appearance of the console, wasn't it, if I remember rightly, in Infernal? Last appearance of the original console, that is. Again, the very, very rare 1971 Pink Annual. Especially if it's, you can get some of them that don't actually have the price in them, but they say they're not price clipped, but there's no price in them in the first place. So I actually have one of those copies. I've got a couple of copies of that, but I've sold them on. Again, Nicholas Courtney, reference to him and his character, very, very memorable character it was indeed. The Great Brig in the Sky. Didn't he last appear on Sarah Jane Adventures? That was his last ever reference with Doctor on screen anyway. Again, we had these comic books, and of course, remember Countdown was a big thing then in the 1970s. With that Countdown, TV action, wasn't it? TV action Countdown. I had quite a few of those. A guy actually, when I was going to school in the 70s, he gave me all the copies of those comics originally. That's why I thought he was a fantastic guy. Really appreciate it. He lent me them, didn't give me them. He lent me them. I had to give them back. Again, John Levine mentioned there. Of course, the infamous Sergeant Benton, Corporal Benton. It was in season 7. Again, the very noticeable spearhead from space. Always called. What's it called? That? Yeah. No, it's Doctor Who and the Auton Invasion, wasn't it? That's what it was called on the book. Again, some of these books were not true to the original storytellers. Like we've got Doctor Who and the Cave Monsters, of course, in reference to the Doctor Who and the Saloons. I can get these originals. The hardbacks are the more expensive, of course, to get for those. Get me a spearhead from space mentioned on. And that dot and trouble, I guess, relates to the chroma dot recovery they did with challenges of making the remastering the episodes, for the Blu-ray release. So I imagine chroma dot recovery played along with Vidfire and the rest of it, as per usual, with those early episodes. Even the colour ones certainly had to be remastered in part. Again, a lot of reference to what's on the television at the same time. So yeah, Doctor Who fans, you can get this issue, please do. Again, we have a timeline there. Doctor Who Marooned on Earth, 1970. So yeah, get yourself a copy if you want to. It's worth it if you're a collector. Worth it in view of if you're going to get the Blu-ray collection. There's a good reference guide as you watching and listening to a lot of the extras. I always buy the collections for the extras generally. I've already seen the episodes hundreds of times. But even so, it's best to get the best quality prints, I think. Anyway, Doctor Who fans, have a great weekend. I know it's going to be snowy in parts, but yeah, take it easy and enjoy.